Hi, welcome to the Agoja Art Studio. Today I'm going to show you a button joint that isn't seen too often, which is kind of unfortunate. It's not a difficult joint, is it? Let's see how it's done. Most of the time when I make figures, I sew the head onto the neck, and you've seen that in previous videos. In this case, I've added a simple button joint to the top of the head, which allows the head to move back and forth. In fact, you could move it all the way around, and this is kind of an interesting joint that isn't seen too often, and I don't know why. In this case, it's actually a naked joint, and you can see it. So that's what I mean by naked. But if you were doing a human figure, then this would be underneath hair or maybe a hat, so it would never show. And so where does this joint go? So if you remember back to the videos that I've done before, usually a button joint has two anchor points. So this is one, and the other one goes through the body and comes out in the chest over here. And we can't actually see that button because it's hidden by the costume. But you have the waxed linen going through the figure, which allows the point of rotation at the neck. This is a very strong joint, and it works fairly well, and it's relatively straightforward to do. It's just kind of a long joint. So let's see how this is done. So here I have a figure with the neck that's been sewn flat. And it's not perfectly closed up here. There's still kind of some rough edges, but that's okay because this is going to be hidden. And then I have a head. And I did do a little bit of experimenting to see where the head would sit appropriately. This may take a couple of attempts to figure out what you're going to do, but then, you know, it's not too tricky. You might have to make the neck a little bit shorter or longer. And then this is the same kind of head that I've made before. So you'll need a very long and strong doll needle and then the usual waxed linen. So what I'm going to do is go in the back of the head and come down through to the bottom of the neck. And you want to think about the line of the joint itself. So if you kind of imagine a straight line from where my thumb is to where my forefinger is, that's kind of what you're doing. And you may want a longer joint depending on the neckline of your costume. So if a button would show up here, then you may need the anchoring button to be down here. And again, you can play with that. So we'll just go ahead and put the needle through. And usually what I do is I go ahead and do the head, and then just go ahead and come through, and you kind of have to feel around for where you want it to go. And if it's going to be hidden, it doesn't have to be totally centered on the middle of the body. No big deal. Just pull that through, and then I'm using just the usual little shirt buttons. So these are kind of small because I want them to be flat. And then you just thread that button, and you're just going to go back through the other way. And I have kind of a thick wad of fabric here at the top, so it's kind of hard to get the needle through. You just pull. And of course, I always get things tangled up on camera. And in it goes. And remember, you want to get the thread, the cording, or the linen thread a little bit away from the first thread, 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch away. And then you're just going to put another button here at the top. And then you're going to pull everything really, 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 really tight, so that you don't get any weird gaps here underneath the chin. And then I cover my button joints, and you've seen that in a previous video. And then that's it. You will have a head that can rotate on the neck. It's a very simple joint to do, and once you've covered that button, it's completely unobtrusive, and it's very, very easy.